Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new Techish. I'm here, Abadesi of Hustle Crew, joined with
Michael Behane, the CEO of Pocket and Pocket
Let's Go.
Jobs. Let's go. What's been popping?
A
Where
lot.
do you want to start?
Debates.
What's the biggest debate in your mind right now?
Kamala.
Kamala and Trump.
Yeah,
Oh
let's
yeah,
do it.
yeah. Let's do it. Did you watch it?
Did I stay up to watch it? Look, I am invested in the democratic process, but not enough to break my
Yeah, it's not
circadian
that
rhythm.
deep.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Especially when we're across the Atlantic as well. Like, so yeah.
yeah, I mean, I had friends messaging like, "Oh, stay up and watch it with me," and I was like, "I'm very happy to just like wake up and watch the highlights," which I did,
Definitely.
like Colbert Report and like Jon Stewart. Let me just open with this, okay? In true techish form, true hustle crew form. That debate for me was the perfect demonstration of how bias plays out in the workplace.
Yeah,
The
you're right. I
fact
hear it.
that you have a clearly competent, well researched, proven track record woman of color showing up with the facts, with the composure, with the clear ability to take on this task, taking on a barely sane buffoon talking about animals being eaten by immigrants, no facts, no evidence,
Wow.
was he even paying attention at the time? And then the overall consensus is that it was close.
I know, right?
How was that close? Like, honestly, the debate made me angry. Like, on the one hand, I was thinking of like little young Abadesi seeing like, you know, a black and Asian woman on stage, you know, fighting to be the next president. And that is really cool. But actually, my overall feeling was one of absolute anger and frustration. What was close about that?
It's close because we're all in our echo chambers. So if you're a Trump supporter, you see that and you just think Trump won. You're a Kamala supporter, you see that, you think Kamala won. And I think, or
But
Kamala,
just
sorry.
purely on the performance and
People
the
are in their
facts.
bubbles, though.
The facts.
Facts don't matter anymore.
One person came with facts, one person came with lies, and you're like, well, yeah, that was close.
But we're
It's
in
like,
a-
so you want a liar to lead you?
We're in a post-fact era. We're in the vibes era
Damn.
now. Who do I like? Who's giving me the
Vibes
vibe?
era.
Yeah, we're in the vibes
Jeez.
era now. And people that like Trump is their vibe.
Lord help
people that like
us.
obviously Kamala, that's their vibe, right? And I think we're just in our own little echo chamber. Because I watch
So like
the YouTube
sexism
channel.
vibes.
Yes, that too. I mean, listen,
Misogyny
what I
vibes.
saw on that was that a lot of people were like, "Oh, the face that she's making," and it's like, that's just her face. Like she's making faces because what he's saying is outlandish. One, but it reads to a lot of men as, "Oh, that she's dislikable. Oh, she's a B word. Oh, she's like."
She should have shown up in a low cut top and
There's
been
no,
like
but
smiling
that's the problem.
and
There's no
nodding.
winning.
Exactly.
There's no winning. If she was demure, to use the word of the day, like then people would be like, "Oh, she's not cut out for the job. She's not
Exactly.
cutthroat."
And if she was aggressive, she'd be an angry black woman.
Yeah,
and no
that
one
too.
wants that.
So she can't really win, and I want her to win so badly, and I don't know if she will. Maybe this is even me speaking. This is not a good thing. People will probably criticize me as the Brit even saying that, but nothing underestimates me. Nothing surprises me basically when it comes to like
Absolutely.
Trump won and people's desire from certain groups to want to vote for this man, even though like he's demonstrated that he's a fool.
He is going to have the nuclear codes. That's all I want to remind people of. He's going to have the power
Right.
to rewrite the constitution, make himself a dictator for life. This is someone whose genuine grasp of reality, like Elon Musk, one of his biggest and most vocal supporters in the tech world right now, is genuinely questionable. Like I'm
Yeah.
like two people right now who I think we really need to get them some deep mental health and medical checks. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, please. Sorry, where are the people that love them?
One
and
problem
care
at a
for
time
them?
though, because like
One problem at a time.
Because the thing with Trump, and you can say all the stuff about his personality. This dude basically tried to overthrow an election, and he tweeted on True Social, if you want to call it tweeted. He basically said, "Let's suspend the Constitution." Now, me growing up as an outsider has always watched the conservative side in the US talking about the Constitution. They talk about it like Jesus wrote it, basically, right? No, I'm keeping it real. It's like a holy ass document. The way they talk about it with that reverence, we don't even have one in the UK, but the way it's talked about in the US. It's like a holy document. And the dude went on Truth Social and was like, we need to suspend the Constitution. And people are still like, I'm rocking with this man. And it's like, I think the problem people have is that, let's say, for example, Trump embodies some values that you like. Maybe he's for low taxes, I don't know. Or maybe, for example, you want a more bellicose foreign policy. Or I don't know, whatever he embodies. But to me, surely there's a line. When someone says they want to suspend the rule of law, the Constitution, when they basically G-check their vice president to say like, yo, not find me some more votes, but don't push forward with the changing of power. And people are like, yeah, like, I still like that man. And it's like, It's because of the vibes. He represents.
This is crazy.
You know what you texted me actually about how like there's that stat about how in 2045 America will be majority minority. So it won't be that white people will be the minority, but there will be a majority of people, other people of color, that will be the thing. And I think Trump is that final bulwark against that. Like that's the vibe people are getting. He's holding it down for us. He hates immigrants. He's giving out all these dog whistles, all the Haitians. Do you get what I'm saying, right? So make it make sense. But yeah, it's depressing. I hope to God he doesn't win, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does.
To your thing around, we're living in an era of vibes. There is nothing about his vibe that is attractive to me.
To you.
Okay.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Like, genuinely, if you're listening, like, please let me understand what about his vibe is attracting you.
There are people that genuinely are craving for a strong man, as in like the strong man archetype of like Daddy Trump, show me the way. I need somebody like turn off my brain.
What, like top off, riding a horse, cowboy hat.
No, but like, you know, like that you can imagine in a kind of ancestral environment, there was always a leader who basically wasn't the most eloquent, wasn't the most thing. He just was a caveman that would just crack some skulls. And Trump has that archetype to a lot of people who have that almost kind of servile, like, desire to be like,
Kamala
please.
Could crack some skulls if she had to.
Yeah, but it just reads different when you're, you know,
a woman.
Yeah, when you're a woman, unfortunately. And there's a lot of men that I saw making statements in like YouTube channels that they weren't intentionally trying to be sexist, but I was like, yeah, you are though, because you're talking about her face, her body language. It's like,
misogyny.
100%.
What this debate and the analysis of the debate has shown me is that we are so entrenched into systems of oppression like patriarchy, white supremacy, misogyny, misogynoir. The fact that you walk away from that going, you know, the fact that we walked away from that going, I'm still not sure who's going to win. This world is not governed by reason. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. So the other thing I wanted to talk about actually, so Klarna, the buy now, pay later pioneers, Swedish fintech, actually. I didn't even realize it was Swedish.
Dubious morals.
So, I mean, they've started a trend that, you know, has bankrupted so many teens in their credit before they could even begin. But the reason why I'm bringing them up is that, so there's rumors that essentially that because of AI, they are now building in-house a lot of the kind of tools that folks used to basically pay software tools like Datadog, Salesforce, maybe even Slack.
So they don't want to pay for subscriptions anymore.
They don't want to pay for that no more. And I think obviously there's an idea that, no, it's not even an idea. We know that when you scale up as an enterprise, those bills become extortionate. So you might be paying for Slack thinking, oh, you know what, it's only like $50 a month. Now, when you get to enterprise level,
super users,
super users, that's where like Slack makes most of their money.
Oh yeah, 7-figure bills easily.
So there's a temptation to be like, we can now with like tools like, you know, Cursor AI, ChatGPT, all these kind of LLMs, we can now build so much more effectively and efficiently.
Yeah.
That why don't we just build this in-house? And what do you think? Is that a bit of hubris? Does it make sense?
It's so interesting because I think a lot of these tools are still quite new and they haven't been stress tested in a way that like maybe other enterprise tools have. But it makes sense logically, right? Like even, you know, us as business owners, we've had so many conversations over this last year, especially this particular year where, you know, the markets aren't as buoyant as they have been in previous years. Where it's like, let's find the savings. Like, oh, I'm using this tool for research. I'm using this tool for CRM. So, you know, if we're doing it on a micro level, it makes, you know, no surprise that they're doing it on a macro level. But I think there are like risks, right? Because what you might gain in savings, you could be losing in the, you know, less tangible things. It's like the first order, second order, third order effects. Like, are you now going to create a team internally to also be your point of contact, your account manager, your human that you will inevitably need at some point when data points aren't adding up correctly, when some kind of bug manifests? Like the cost will be realized somewhere. It might feel like you're saving that $1.5 million on the Salesforce bill, the 75K on the Datadog bill, but where are you actually like netting that benefit? Because you need people to now move their engineering power from building and maintaining your product to integrating these AI solutions, and then inevitably you need people to maintain and manage them. So 100%. You're going to be creating some kind of headcount, right? So it'll just be interesting to see like what it actually looks like net, you know?
Yeah, I'm not bullish on this at all. To me, I'm like, don't you have like a lot of features on your roadmap that you need to be prioritizing that will actually differentiate you from your competitors, the other buy now, pay later companies? Why are you trying to recreate Salesforce? Like, make it make sense. So for context, their valuation at their peak was 45 billion and it's now down to around 6.7 billion. So they've lost. That's a big drop. And
was it 45 billion during the COVID when everyone was online shopping?
June 2021. And then now it's the last valuation was in July 2022. 6.7 billion. So to me, I'm like, if you're trying to recreate that value, it's not by cloning Salesforce internally.
That's a marginal
difference. Maybe, but also I think they have been leveraging, or at least there's been a lot of press releases that I've researched where they've talked about how they're using AI for their marketing, how they've downsized their marketing team, not by laying people off, but by just not rehiring once people left, because they're now using Midjourney, whatever, for like their marketing tools. So I think they think that if we get enough buzz around AI and get ourselves kind of aligned with AI, maybe investors will kind of come back in a higher valuation.
I mean, it's such a weak, know, value add to be like, to your point, we're not innovating to, gain more market share. We're not innovating to introduce new verticals. We're doing the most basic, revenue minus cost equals profit. So we're reducing our costs. And the thing about marketing and using AI to improve their marketing is that it goes back to that classic like cause and effect challenge as well, where you're like, okay, we're not growing as quickly as we were. It must be because our marketing isn't popping as much as it was. Let's like change our marketing team, make it smaller, make it cheaper, so that the same type of marketing will at least cost us less. Isn't a better solution to actually address why a marketing approach is failing? Like, we're living in an attention economy. You were talking about the vibes era. I'm following this influencer at the moment who's talking about there's such an influx of content that people only really give 1 or 2 seconds to, that a brand, it doesn't need like a mission, a vision, or strategy or goals anymore. It needs to literally project a vibe that can be captured in 1 or 2 seconds.
100%.
It's literally like a scattergun, rapid fire, automatic weapon approach to creating content and marketing online. So I feel like it would be much more interesting to investors if they were actually responding to these trends instead and being specific about how they're going to differentiate.
I'll try to stillman the position though. Imagine now you've raised in 2022. That's what, 2 years ago, coming up to 3 years ago now, pretty soon. Let's say you're sitting on, I don't know, tens of millions in the bank, but you're not profitable. I don't think they are.
No.
So now imagine someone says, listen, we can cut our burn by 30%, 40%, because when I'm looking at our main burn, look at all these software tools that we think, and we've got 1,000 developers here or hundreds of developers here. Let's just chip away at that. So I can imagine why to a management team it makes sense. But I think going forward, when you've got bugs, when you've got, we need to, fix this up and this is not working, like, you're going to wish that you had like a specialized tool that you can just outsource. I genuinely believe, I think in 2-3 years time, they'll go back to it and say, like, let's just go get
How's it
Salesforce.
working for X? Right? Because Elon Musk tried that playbook. He's like, I'm going to cut the workforce by 30%, blah, blah, blah. X is a bit of a bin right now. It's a bit of a dumpster fire product-wise.
As a user, it's terrible.
Yeah. Are you still paying for premium?
No, I turned straight away. After the first one, I was like, I'm done. Because I think, one, it's like the only people that you just see with these premium accounts are just like meme accounts, basically, or just like people that are kind of in the Elon sycophant camp, and I'm firmly not in that camp. Plus, also, I don't think Twitter drives any business value anymore. Because like, I remember there was a time when it was like, yo, man's got this many followers on Twitter, and it was a big effing deal, especially within the tech world.
Yeah, it doesn't convert.
It doesn't convert anymore. And I think also the status value of that has completely gone out the window.
I think it's...
Let me ask you a question. What if... Okay, 300,000 followers, on what platform would you take right now?
Ooh, honestly?
Yeah.
Instagram.
More than YouTube?
Yeah.
More than YouTube.
Because you're talking about AdSense, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Do you know what? That's such a good question. I need to do the...
Okay, rank it.
Okay, let me tell you why, okay? So definitely not X.
Bottom.
Been that. No one cares. Pinterest, blah, blah, blah. Like, sorry, no monetization. LinkedIn, Like, LinkedIn, do you know what?
On LinkedIn, though.
Hang on a minute. The thing about LinkedIn is, if you are B2B... or doing anything like educational on the B2C angle, I do think, because it's a platform that you can like legitimately use when you're at work without like getting in trouble, you could potentially convert audience into paying customers. But in the last few months, where I have seen the strongest conversion is Instagram.
Yeah.
And Instagram is a place where you can genuinely promote an event, genuinely promote a course. And people, I think, because of the sense of intimacy, there's a deeper layer of trust, are more likely to buy your product. Whereas on LinkedIn, they don't have that insight into your life where there's that aspirational element of like, wow, okay, I believe you, I want to buy into this. Throwing in YouTube, though, that's interesting, because actually, over the long run, you probably have more passive income on YouTube. What are you going to pick? Passive income.
I would pick, I'd probably, maybe YouTube edges it, but then YouTube, Instagram, then I would say LinkedIn, then I would say TikTok. I think TikTok's followers are like probably the least, like, I wouldn't say low value, but it's like they don't know who you are. Like people have bumped into me and be like, oh, like you're so-and-so from TikTok. They don't know my name. They're like, No, because they're just like, oh, you want
Just
to
see your face.
see my face.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's Michael. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, and it's like, actually, that's the lowest form of like interaction.
Whereas on Instagram, I feel like people genuinely know who you are.
They will know
when
who
you're
you
around.
are.
Yeah.
But then actually, to be fair, let's say you've got 300,000 like Spotify subscribers for your podcast.
Spotify does not pay well.
Spotify doesn't pay well, but I feel like an audio relationship is definitely some of the most intimate like relationships you can have with like an audience. Because
And then partnership opportunities.
Because people like, I've looked at our stats, and I think it's across the industry. Most people finish a podcast, they listen to at least 70 to 80% of it, especially if the podcast is like half an hour or less, basically,
Especially
right?
if they're amazing like ours.
Yeah. Shout out to you lot. Stick it to the end. YouTube people don't finish that much. They're very much just like, oh, I got bored. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Or you drag yourself to the point where you want to watch the video.
Right? Even if it's a podcast that you're really invested in. But yeah, audience at home, let us know what was your top
I'm
five.
curious. Well, and also how does that translate across the different types of products and services that you're selling? Because I'm very much thinking about this from the perspective of Hustle Crew.
As business owners.
Absolutely. Like I sell training programs to founders, to businesses. So I want to meet my audience where they're at. But yeah, I would love to hear what folks think. If you're a lifestyle person, I actually think YouTube could be so beneficial. If I think of
100%.
like the wellness content creators, exercise, fitness content creators that I watch on YouTube, they're getting passive income from my views. They're promoting their own products in the videos. And then some of them have gone out and built empires.
Yeah, Ali Abdul was amazing. I don't know if you know about him, but he's basically started off as he's actually used to be a doctor. Then he pivoted to a YouTuber, and he basically,
you mentioned him before on the podcast.
So he pivoted to being like a productivity YouTuber.
Yeah.
And he's very transparent. So now I think his business is like maybe 6-7 million in revenue, and it's built this YouTube platform where he's built courses. He's built,
Did you say 6 to 7 million?
Yeah. He's built courses.
On productivity tools,
but he's built courses on how to be productive, how to be a YouTuber, how to just all the kind of stuff. He's selling the entire stack of what you'd want to know if you followed him. And that's a guy who was probably on a 50K salary as a doctor. So I'd say YouTube is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got to talk about Fearless Fund. So Fearless Fund let me not speak that into existence. Is Fearless is a venture capital firm that is targeting black women of color, I believe, for investments. And they had a grant program that was in tandem with a few corporations where they were giving out 20K to black women founders. They then received a lawsuit from the same organization, the American Alliance for Equal Rights, what a flipping Orwellian name. American Alliance for Equal Rights, which is the same folks who basically got affirmative action taken all the way up to the Supreme Court and essentially overturned. So what's happened now, the latest is that the lawsuit has been settled, which means that I guess nobody's technically won, but in the sense that they've decided to end the grant program to settle the lawsuit. But they're going to continue their work. And actually what I really like is when I was reading the research was basically they're still saying we're going to help and support under-resourced founders. And I think the reason why that is very telling is because why that's telling is that, you look at the stats and the majority of venture capital dollars go to white founders, for example. But those VC firms don't explicitly say that's what we're doing. They just do it as default. And then they say, what do you mean? Like, how it is. So I think we need to get more cleverer and just basically not be explicit. If you want to target underrepresented groups, you just got to find a way of doing it where it's like by location or like, under-resourced, or you're under a certain economic, strata or whatever, right? And we've just got to be more clever, because then it's like, all right, cool. So 8% of our dollars went to, founders from a certain background, but it just happened to be that way. Just like your thing happened to be that way, right? And I think it's going to have to just be more savvy and less explicit, because the ultimate win was that they avoided a Supreme Court ruling. So it didn't go all the way up to the Supreme Court, because what happens when it gets to the Supreme Court? They just can unilaterally, because the Supreme Court can unilaterally just say, okay, anything like this, go on, ixnay. Now at the moment it's in a grey area, it hasn't been ruled. Thoughts?
The most cynical part of me in this sort of like post-truth, post-whatever, BLM, post like friggin' justice reality where it just like pays to be a bigot, and some of the biggest bigots are running some of the most powerful social media platforms. The most cynical part of me is like, if you want any like diversity initiative to win, you need to describe it in a way where like some white folks can still participate in it. In the paradigm of white supremacy, which shows no sign of dying in my lifetime, and probably not for another few centuries, if even in this millennia. Like, while that paradigm of white supremacy dominates, while that paradigm of patriarchy dominates, these systems, these, huge and oppressive and horrible and like violent systems, while they exist, you will only succeed in your proximity to power. And that's what I've learned. And like in my most cynical moments, I sometimes feel like if you want to succeed with these initiatives, and not find yourself in a situation like Fearless One where you're being shut down or attacked or targeted, you need to have that little like clause that makes some type of a white person or some type of a man, you know, the people that are close to those dominant groups, able to participate in it.
Yeah. That's the way. It's good.
So when they say under-resourced, what they can say is, oh, but that includes, you know, Billy Bob that grew up in a trailer in, you know, the Appalachian Mountains. And then they can wheel him out when the Trumps and the Elon Musks start trying to attack them and tear them down. And then they're like, oh, Billy Bob. Oh, okay, cool. You know, he's like the shield, like the white shield.
But that's the inverse of the current situation where you'll go to a VC firm, you'll be like, why do you not invest in diverse founders? And then they'll get the one they've got.
Wheel out.
Yeah, they'll get the one. Do you know what I mean? Like, so like, yeah, I think the stalemate, I think, is the best case scenario for now.
Yeah.
And I think we've just got to be savvy and
it's hard to stay positive. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to stay positive out here. It's hard to stay optimistic.
That's why you can't watch the news, I'll be honest with you, and just touch grass. I'll be honest with you sometimes. Nah, you've got to. Yeah, because social media will have you thinking the world is, you know,
I mean,
reading a Twitter feed, and it's not. There's still good things happening out there.
I mean, there's, you know, a specific social media platform I actively avoid now because even by muting and blocking its owner, they're still somehow always in my notifications.
100%.
And if they're not in my notifications, they're being talked about in headlines for, you know, threatening to sexually assault Taylor Swift, and goodness knows what else. So yeah, there are certain social media platforms like I like actively avoid, but coming into, you know, the sort of final months of 2024 and remembering where we were just 3 years ago, which over the long arc of time is not that long ago.
Feels like a lifetime ago, though.
And seeing the absolute shifting of gears that CEOs, tech companies, powerful people are making on the most basic topics concerning human dignity and humanity is so deeply concerning to me. Like the legitimization of like toxic views. We were going to talk about that story. Who put out a racist tweet? There was like a tech company.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about another episode.
Anyway.
Because we've got to wrap it up anyway.
Okay, we've got to wrap it up. But yeah, anyway, stay positive out here. But hopefully Techish was a bit of positivity, even though I'm really feeling quite negative.
That's a down note. All right, cool. Yeah, everyone, stay positive. Catch you next week. Techish Pod on Instagram. Support. Watch us on YouTube. Catch you next week. Peace.